Hi everybody, my name is Frekhtman. I'm an attorney here in Brooklyn, New York, a personal injury trial attorney. And today I was doing a video about case value. I was reading through a lot of the comments on our YouTube channel, and it seems like everyone really cares about how much am I going to get? And so it's really hard for us to answer that question because it depends on a lot of different factors. Most importantly, what is the liability? Who's at fault? What are your damages? Are they life-altering? Do you have forever injuries? Or is it something like a little boo-boo that's gonna go away? Well, obviously the life-altering forever injury is gonna be worth a lot more. And then also, do you have economic damages, lost wages? Is it only pain and suffering? Do you have loss of enjoyment of life? Do you have independent community witnesses that are gonna come to court? What is your venue? Is it a favorable venue like the Bronx or Brooklyn? Or is it a less favorable venue, more conservative like Westchester, upstate New York, maybe out in Suffolk or Nassau County on Long Island? So all of these come into play. And the other thing that comes into play is who is the insurance company? Some insurance carriers are fair and they'll offer you a serious settlement, and then they'll offer you more money during trial. And other insurance companies are more stingy and greedy and they don't want to pay fair value, in which case sometimes that could actually work against them because you'll hit them for a bigger number at trial because they don't want to pay fair value. So you never know how everything's going to play out. It's like a lot of moving parts. Almost like, it's like asking what's going to be the score of the Monday Night Football game. You don't know, right? Because you have to watch the game to see the score. So it's kind of like that. But I could tell you what certain cases are worth. Like, for example, if you had the same injury, let's say you had a fracture of the ankle and there was no surgery, a fracture of the ankle without surgery, and then different types of different types of incidents that would cause that, and how much would that be worth in each incident if you're in the same venue, you have the same lawyers, the same client, and we could talk about something like that. So in that situation, let's say you have a fractured ankle, no surgery, right? If you get hit, if you're stopped at a red light and you get hit by a car and you're in Brooklyn or in the Bronx or in anywhere in New York City, and it's good liability and you have that fractured ankle and your doctor says that fracture is from the fact that you got rear-ended, it could not be caused by anything else, it's traumatic, I would say if there's enough coverage, if there's $1 million in coverage, I would say that could be worth $100,000 and up. It could definitely be worth $150,000. It could even be worth possibly $200,000 or up if you go to a jury. Depending on how it heals, the residuals, if the doctor thinks it's permanent, if there's going to be arthritis, right? Now, if that same fracture happened in a building because you're walking in an apartment building and there's a hole in the lobby that the landlord knew about and you tripped and you fell, well, now they can give a little bit of comparative on you for saying, well, how come you didn't see it? How come you tripped in this hole? But I still think that case is worth at least $100,000, maybe a little less, like 85, but I really think it's worth anywhere from 100, 150. It could be even worth more than that, right? Because you still have that injury, you have the liability. Now, if the case happens more like on the roadway, where you're walking in the middle of the street where you shouldn't be, and you fall in a pothole, well, now that case might only be worth $1,500, or it might not be a case at all, because when you're suing the city of New York for a roadway defect, if it's not in the crosswalk, you would have to show what's known as prior written notice. And you would have to show that the city of New York knew about that particular pothole in writing before you fell, which is very hard. And sometimes those maps come back and they show nothing. So now you have the same injury, but now you're getting maybe $1,000 or $1,500, just nuisance value to go away. Or a lot of lawyers wouldn't even take the case, or would not even file it, in which case it's zero. And what if it happened, let's say in a private home where the ceiling collapses? Well, if the ceiling collapses and you fall and you break your ankle, you would sue the homeowner. But what if that homeowner doesn't have insurance? Well, now you could be chasing that homeowner for years and years if the building's in foreclosure, if there's no homeowner's insurance, and you can get a judgment of $100,000, $200,000, but it's a paper judgment. It's worthless because that homeowner does not have insurance. Now, if the homeowner does have insurance, and if it's a good company, you could get the same amount, $100,000 or more. And what if you're walking on the sidewalk and you trip on a raised sidewalk flag where one flag is higher than another? Now, depending on which building is abutting, right, or adjoining that defect. So you draw a straight line from the defect to the building, and if it's an apartment building, you sue the landlord. That's 7-210 in New York City. And the landlord is liable for a defective public sidewalk abutting or adjoining their property. So now I think it's a good case again. You could probably get 100,000 or more. But what if it's like, I don't know, a city park, just grass there? Well, now you have to sue the city of New York. You could still recover if you order the Big Apple map, and if that Big Apple map shows that they knew about the defect, the prior written notice, you could recover, but I think it might be worth a little bit less, and it'll take a lot longer, because if you're suing a private insurance company, you could probably expedite depositions, put it on the calendar, get it resolved in a fairly short period of time. But when you're suing the city of New York, it goes into a city part, things get delayed, you get long adjournments, the city doesn't provide you with discovery, you have to file a motion to get basic discovery, and then, even then they don't give it to you, despite getting maybe 2 or 3 court orders. Then after the 3rd court order, you'll probably get it. So everything's gonna move way slower. So depending on if you go all the way to trial, you have a client who's that patient, you could still get the 100,000 or more. But if you're gonna try to settle the case earlier, it's simple fracture, no surgery, with trip and fall on a raised defective sidewalk flag in front of, like, let's say, a city park, you might have to settle that for a little less, like 70,000, 60,000. So I hope this has been helpful, and let us know what questions you have if you want us to go through another type of injury with different scenarios. But I think this covered a lot of the scenarios. We talked about premises, like trip and falls inside and outside of buildings, city parks. We talked about ceiling collapses. We talked about if it was a car crash, and then we talked about other possible scenarios, like if it happened out on the roadway, and why roadway cases are much more difficult unless you're lucky and you find the prior written notice. Okay, have a great day, everyone, and let us know what other topics you'd love to hear from us. Okay, talk to you soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.